So welcome everybody to the third of our 2022 Gold Nugget Triathlon Racer Information Sessions. Tonight we are going to, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping before we get fully underway, and we'll give Mary, our kind sponsor who's underwriting these information sessions, a chance to welcome everybody. But then we'll go on to talk just a little quick, update here about the event. Then we'll go into T1. We'll talk about the bike course. We'll talk about T2 or transition to the run course, and then the finish line and spectators. And then we'll have time for Q&A as well. Before we get started with our housekeeping, we'll give Mary Cox welcome from the REMAX team. Joining us again, Mary, thank you so much for your support and continued support of the Gold Nugget and really helping make these information sessions possible this year.
Well, you are more than welcome. It's such a pleasure and excitement for me to be able to help with this and at least say hello to everyone and welcome them. And the transition and the course are my favorite parts of it, because that's almost the scariest part. How do I get everything where I'm supposed to have it when I need it? And so these are great information systems and sessions. And so Kristen and Missy are awesome, and it's all back to you.
Well, we'll remind you at the finish line when you say that was so hard, that you said tonight that was also your favorite part. So
hey, I'm there. I'm there.
Well, you bring up a really good point that we'll talk a little bit about tonight. There's so much frenzy of, do I have everything? Am I all set? Am I ready to go? And one of the really great things is once you get out on the course, it's like, you've got it. It's just focus on your race and get to that finish line. So we'll go through all those steps. And again, thanks, Mary, and for everyone on the phone. Like we just said, Mary will be a fellow racer again on May 15th.
Yes.
Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome.
So just a quick little housekeeping. We have everybody in listen mode. We will at the end, if folks want to raise their hand and ask a question verbally, we certainly can do that. You can also put something in the chat throughout the session. We will answer those questions as we can as we go along too. So feel free to pop something in there. We'll do our best to monitor it. If we don't get to it during our actual presentation here, we'll do our best to answer everything at the end. We also are recording this, and it will be posted to the GNT website. There's a box right on the home page where we have all of the recorded recordings of the past sessions. And then this one will probably go up this evening. If not, it'll go up tomorrow. We have one more session after this one. That one will be held on May 3rd at 7 p.m. as well. And in that one, we'll talk about everything that's coming up that following week, race week. So bib pickups, bike drop off, getting ready for the event to make sure that you have a successful and fun race weekend. So before we get into the course information, we're going to give our selfless plea and cry for help with volunteers. We are, this race takes well over 350 volunteers to put on. They are the backbone of the event. It could not happen without our volunteers. We are running a little bit shy on volunteers compared to where we'd like to be at this stage leading up to the event. So we're hoping that our racers will reach out to your friends and family and coworkers to see if they're interested in volunteering. There are many great opportunities to volunteer, both on Saturday for setup and on race day. Race day is really an important one because it's a little bit harder this year with the timing of the event and the way that the swim will work in earlier on deck times for racers to both volunteer and race on the same day. So we're really trying to reach out further into the community. A couple incentives for our volunteers. Everybody gets that branded hat with this year's GNT logo. And then the board is offering 10 free entries. So of all the volunteers who complete their volunteership this year, they will be entered to win, and we will randomly select 10 winners for a free entry into the 2023 Gold Nugget. And those are transferable. So if you're brother or your sister or your husband or your child comes out and volunteers and does their shift, and they are one of the winners, they can transfer that back to you. So we appreciate you helping to get the word out. There's lots of good areas and you can to volunteer. It's also a great place for people to be out on the course and volunteer and actually see you during your race. You can go to goldnuggettriathlon.com/volunteers. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Missy and we'll start talking about the course.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the very, very beginning. Obviously, well, maybe a step beyond the beginning. The very, very beginning, obviously, is the pool, and we've already had a session completely on the pool, so we'll sort of skip that part of it. But if you can look, I might ask you, Kristen, to kind of like use your cursor or your.
Oh yeah,
there we go. Well, we can go that way.
Can you see my cursor when I do that?
I can.
You can. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then everybody can.
So the pool, the Bartlett pool, is up in the right-hand corner. Obviously, it says Bartlett Pool by the green dot. When you come out of the pool, you're going to come straight into, if you've never done it before, you're going to come straight into the transition area. There'll be a big set of balloons or an arch of some kind. We're still sort of trying to qualify that, but you will come straight into the transition and you'll run to your area. You'll do your thing in T2. We're going to talk about each one of these a little bit separately, but you'll do your thing in T2. Then you'll grab your bike. You will not get on your bike, and we'll talk about that a little bit more too. And you'll run through the transition area to the bike out that Kristen is showing you right there at the arrow. Then at that point, you're going to take off and you're going to head out of Bartlett High School parking lot, and you're going to take a left, go towards onto the bike trail, and you're going to head towards Fort Rich. When you get to the Fort Rich interchange, you're going to take a right and head over the overpass and follow it around to the road that leads. It's kind of a frontage road, but you're going to take that road up to Arctic Valley. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to actually take a left first on the other side of the overpass, go down what we call Gunnery Road, also known as Bear Run Road. Again, we'll talk about that in detail here shortly. You're going to go down to the end of that road, make a U-turn, come all the way back. Then you're going to go all the way down and around to Arctic Valley Road. When you come around to Arctic Valley Road, you're going to head straight until you get to the Moose Run not putting range, but the Moose Run, what do you call that?
Golf course. You're a golfer now.
I'm trying to golf. I know. And then right about maybe a half a mile past the golf course there, you're going to go up a small hill. It's going to seem like a big hill, but you're going to make it. And at the top of that hill, we're going to transition into T2. Then you're going to take off, go down over the tank trails and to the finish line. So that's a real overview of what the course looks like and how you start at one area of Bartlett and you end up across the highway at Penna Park. And that's where the end is. So again, when you come out of Bartlett and you come into T1, your area will be marked by your bib number. So the transition area, you have spaces are by bib number. You will go to your bib number. And actually, can we go? Well, no, I'm sorry. And that's where you'll actually have all your gear staged. And that's where your home for the day or for the morning anyway, the first half is in that T1 area.
Whoops, there you go.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So the transition or that T1 area, that's where you're going to do your bike drop. So on Saturday, May 14th, there's a mandatory bike drop off. Everybody has to drop their bike between 1 and 5 on May 14th. You cannot bring your bike the morning of. There's just too many things going on and it's far too hectic to allow people to actually be bringing in their bike and setting up their gear. You can bring in your bike, you can bring in all the gear you want. You still can come in the next morning between 7 and 8:30 to actually set your gear in place within your transition space. But you cannot to bring your bike in. Your bike has to be there during mandatory bike drop off. If you're and only one person is able to go inside the transition area. With almost, well, this year, almost 1,350 women in T2, even when it's 1,650 on a normal year, it's just too many people to have too many more than just the racer go through and put their gear away. Our suggestion is you might want to grab a bucket. A lot of people use the 5-gallon buckets that they get at Home Depot or at Lowe's, or you might have picked up elsewhere, but it's a great way to carry all your gear for the event that you want to put into your spot. And then at the end, it's really nice because you can flip it over. You can leave any gear that you want underneath that bucket so that it stays dry in the event that it does rain that night. But then you can also use it as a sit down stool when you come out into T1 after the swim and you want to sit down and dry off your feet to put on your socks and your shoes. The truck store mechanics will also be available during mandatory bike drop off. So if you get there and all of a sudden you realize you forgot to air up your tires or you need your brakes just double checked, they will be there, and they're always a huge help, and they do a great job in just taking a look at your bike and giving you a little bit of air for those tires. We do have security overnight. Kristen and I actually stay there overnight in, which RV are we in?
Superman moving.
Superman movers, big, huge red RV. We get to stay there. So we're actually on property as well as the timing guys from Skinny Raven, but we do also have security at T1. So your bike is plenty safe, and your gear as well. If you are unable to deliver your bike on your own, you can have one family member or friend deliver it. However, they can only come in and set up your bike. They are not allowed to bring in any other gear. You have to do that the next morning. And again, flipping over to the next morning, May 15th, day of the big try, you can go into T1 anytime between 7 and 8:30, but the transition area will close promptly at 8:30 for a 9 a.m. swim start. Anything I left out there?
No, I'm just, I'll talk about the
yeah.
gear drop, or do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so on both on Saturday and on Sunday, and those at the mandatory bike drop off, and then that 7 to 8:30, that's when you have the opportunity to drop your bag or bags if you're going to drop one or two, but your T2, your transition 2 bag, for when you switch from the bike to the run course. And then your finish bag, if you want to have a bag waiting for you at the finish line, so you can stay and stick around and enjoy the fun at Penna Park. Those are your only opportunities to drop those. Those get loaded into FedEx trucks at both of those bike drops. They'll be there with the backs open and signs for what numbers go in which trucks. At 8:30, those doors close and those trucks go out to T2. So we're assured to have everybody's racer bags out there when the race is underway and the first racers arrive. You will be given at bid pickup both of those bags. So there will be a T2 bag that's sponsored by Matson Shipping. It'll be, I think it's white. All of a sudden I'm drawing a blank, but I think it's white with blue imprint. It has a space to put your number on it. We want you to use that bag. It's really important to use that bag. It makes the logistics and assuring that racers get their bags much smoother at T2. Same for the finish line. Skinny Raven Sports is supplying the finish line bags. There'll be a space for you to drop your bib number and name on that. And we'd prefer that you use those for the finish line as well.
So just to add to that, spectators are not allowed to go out to T2, so they can't take your bag with you. If you want a bag out there to switch your shoes or switch whatever, or add another piece of clothing on, or just to have something in your bag that you might need at T2, you can certainly do that. But this is the only way to do it, is through the FedEx transportation. As far as gear bags at the end, you can give your gear bag if you really wanted to, or any other extra gear that you want in another bag. Doesn't really make any difference at that point, to a spectator, a family member, or a friend. They can come and hang out at Penna Park as a spectator, and they can bring your gear as well. So you don't necessarily have to use your bags to either location. There are some racers who literally will jump off of their bikes They'll use their regular running shoes on their bike and not clip-ons, and they'll jump on their bike and boom, they're gone, and they haven't stopped to get any bags. But if that's not you, if you want to have extra stuff there at T2, by all means, put it in the FedEx truck. And if you want something extra to be at gear in the gear drop at Penna Park, by all means, do that there as well.
Thanks, Missy. There's one question too, and good question here is your T2 bag. So after you get to the get there, that bag will come back with your bike and helmet. So it'll be with your bike and helmet and put back in your transition area for you.
Yeah,
we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay.
And there's another question too, which is a really good question too, about the T2 bag. Can it be dropped off on Saturday during bike drop off? And yes, absolutely, by all means, it can be. You can drop it off on Saturday, or you can drop it off the morning of.
You cannot, however, drop it off Saturday and then say, I want to put something else in it on Sunday morning. So you either drop it off on Saturday or drop it off on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We sort of skipped over another question that was on in the chat, and I just want to let Della know that I see your question about bib assignments, and we will get to that at the end. So don't let us forget.
Okay.
All right. So at NT1, you are given a fairly decent size to hold all your supplies and to call your home. Again, the spaces will be assigned by your bib assignment. Each space will be 4 feet long and about 4 feet wide, which is ample. In some triathlons, you might get a 2x4 space. I believe in the past, Kristen, when we have a full house of registrants, we usually have about 3x4. Is that right?
Correct.
So this year is a bit longer than it has been. So it does allow you ample opportunity to put your bike there, your bike holder, put all your gear the way you want it, how you want it, how it's going to be used. That is your space, and we ask you to stay within that space. We also ask you to keep it sort of neat and tidy. We know that when you come out of the pool and you're really excited to get on your bike and go, people have a tendency to get really excited and move their stuff around. That's fine, but please make sure that it stays confined in that area of that 4x4 space. Speaking of bike racks, something that we require you to host your bike on, everyone must have a bike rack, and it cannot be a kickstand, and it cannot be turning your bike upside down. It absolutely has to be a bike stand that you can put your front tire or your back tire in, and it is going to hold it up in a steady position. And it's not going to be too big to where your bike wobbles, and then all of a sudden, think about this, dominoes. It falls over, it hits the next one hits the next one, and boom, that whole row of bikes goes down. We haven't had that happen in a long time, but we really don't want that to happen, especially considering some of the really, really nice bikes we have. But it means that then we have to go out and pick all those bikes up, not to mention the damage that it could cause any of those bikes and make it difficult for that biker to take off on their bike the next day. There will be the APU ski team at all 3 of the bib pickups. They actually use this as a fundraiser for them. And they build all the bike racks and bring them. They have different sizes for different wheels. Some people use really super skinny tires on a racer bike. Some people I've seen people use a fat tire bike, and I've seen a lot of people use just standard touring bikes as well as mountain bikes. So all of them have different size tires, and these guys are there to be able to make sure that you are able to purchase and select one that actually fits those tires. I think we've talked about your gear and that it must fit in your space. You'll want to it's a great question for you to throw out on the Spirit of GNT website, Facebook page. What is it that you should have in your gear space? But we'd highly recommend, you have to have your bike helmet and your shoes, of course. Some people choose to use bike shoes. Some people use as well as their tennis shoes. Some people just use tennis shoes, whatever's the most comfortable for you. Sunglasses, because it's always sunny on a GNT day. even if it's snowing. Small towel to maybe wipe off your feet or even to wipe off yourself before you throw on an extra shirt. Plastic container for storage and sitting. That's when we talked about the 5-gallon bucket. And then of course, clothes for the elements. There are some people who, like I mentioned earlier, who've got their swimming suit on and they just take right off. And that there's others who really want to change their clothes and do so in the locker room before they even come out. So it's certainly your choice.
There's a question here about bike racks. If you're traveling from out of town and going to be picking up your bib on Saturday, is there any possibility that they'll sell out?
They have never sold out in the past. They've always had bike racks in the past out there. If you wanted to get a hold of them, they really need to see your bike. I think you're going to be absolutely fine. And I've actually seen them sort of take some bike racks apart and put them together to fit your tires. So I think you're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Good question though.
Yeah. All right.
Bike course, all yours.
Yeah. So Missy gave kind of that overview of the bike course. So I'm going to leave the map up here for just a second, and we will talk about the actual pieces of the course and what you're going to experience along the way here. So when you leave Bartlett High School, I'll kind of leave, we've got this text on another slide here, but I'm just going to leave the map up and kind of walk through it with you here. So when you leave Bartlett High School, as Missy mentioned, you'll mount your bike as you leave T1, and it kind of winds around. You're still on the school property or you're on the roads exiting the school. There's a little connector bike path that you will ride on. So you'll be going kind of slow in this area. You won't be on full step yet. There is a sharp left turn when you go from the roadway here onto the bike path. There will be volunteers there. There's traffic control there. There's kind of a lot happening. There'll be spectators there. It's a popular place for people to watch folks starting out on their bike. So just be sure to take that with caution. And again, you'll be able to get up on step once you're on that bike course or on the bike path and really start flying. But take it as slow as you need to in that stretch out of Bartlett High School. Once you leave Bartlett High School, you'll be on the multi-use path or the bike trail along the Glen Highway. This is a great spot. There is, once you get on there, passing is permitted. Do so with caution. It's not a closed bike path, so just kind of be aware of, still be looking up and ahead of you. But you are allowed to pass. Just make sure that you do so safely. As Missy mentioned, you'll get to that Fort Richardson J-Bear overpass here. There'll be volunteers and traffic control at this spot as well. You'll take that right-hand turn onto the road, and then you will come across the overpass, and you'll get to this. There's two intersections. There's the intersection of the people coming off of the highway onto the overpass. You'll go through that. That's fully controlled by Anchorage Police Department, and then you will come. Whoops, sorry, I'm being jumpy here. Sorry about that. I'll get back here. There we go. Sorry about that. And then you'll see more traffic control folks here, and you'll take that left onto Gunnery Range Road, also known as Bear Run Road. It's the frontage road that runs on, now you're going to be on the other side of the highway, but on a road. What's interesting about this is we like to pretend that we're in Europe for a little bit, and you're going to ride on the left side of the road when you get to this stretch. So it's not going to seem intuitive to you. You're going to take that left turn, but you're going to stay in the left side of the road. So you're going to be, it'd be like you're riding against oncoming traffic. This stretch is, well, and let me go through here, and then I'll kind of give a safety PSA on that one. But so you'll go up on the left-hand side of the road. You'll take that all the way down to the end of the road. There will be a water station at the end of the road here. It's a nice turnaround. There's kind of a big wide space. The road ends. There's kind of almost like a cul-de-sac there. You can grab water on the fly or stop and grab water. There's porta potties there as well if you need to take a restroom break. And then you'll come back down again on the left, on your left, coming back on the left side of the road. There is no pass or no riding, sorry, there's passing, but there's no riding side by side on the stretch of the road. We really don't want people riding side by side at all. But especially here, there is no riding side by side. That goes for mother-daughter teams as well. If you're a mother-daughter team, you can ride behind your daughter, make sure that you're in good view, but we do not want people riding two abreast. It's just a big safety concern. These roads are open to traffic. And we would just want to make sure that everybody stays safe and that the vehicles are comfortable moving through the roadways as well. So you come back, you'll get back here, and then you're going to veer left and you'll be on this frontage road and the start out to Arctic Valley Road. This is a little bit of a hilly section. It's really fun. It's beautiful. It's kind of nice and wooded, and you'll come down the hill and you'll come into the stretch and take this left-hand turn onto Arctic Valley Road. We have traffic control personnel there who are holding traffic and allowing bikers to just come through that intersection. You'll turn left there. You'll be riding on the right-hand side of the road as you have been since in this stretch. And then, as Missy mentioned, past the golf course and up into T2. Again, we can't stress enough that these are open roads. So you need to ride far to the right as you can. Absolutely never, ever, ever cross the yellow line. But really, we ask people to ride far to the right or on this gunnery stretch, far to the left. Anything else on the bike course? A good question here in the chat. Gunnery Road, Bear Run Lane is not open. We only have permission to use that road on race day. That road is completely closed to the public otherwise. So please do us the favor and not use that, and share that with your friends. It's really important for JBear and our permit that we are good stewards to that area, not just on race day, but also outside of race day as well. Missy, did I miss anything on the run or bike course?
No.
All right, well, let's move on to T2.
Can I just share with everybody that my husband just snuck in the room and brought me popcorn?
How come John didn't get any for me?
Oh, he's crazy. All right, awesome. Let's talk about T2, because I think this is when it gets really exciting. You have one more event to be, and then you are a triathlete. When you come up that sort of smallish hill at the very end of getting off your bike at T2, there's actually a group of volunteers, and they are really awesome. They have handheld radios, and as you come up, they're like checking out your bib number and they're yelling it into this phone or this radio. When you get up to the top of, it's this white line right here, if Kristen can sort of use that, they're gonna be some bike handlers there. And those bike handlers, they're actually gonna take your bike. You're gonna stop, you're gonna get off the bike. They're gonna make sure that you don't fall over from that big hill, that smallish hill you just came up. Excuse me. And they're gonna take the bike. Sorry. And from that point on, you don't have to worry about your bike. They'll take care of it. They're going to load it in one of the FedEx trucks. And it's going to.
That's what happens when you eat popcorn.
I only had one little kernel, and I thought, no, I better not do this for that reason. And then they'll take your bike back to T1. And then at that point, you can run around the corner. You're going to be right about the corner right here at the top. And that when they radioed your bib number, if you have a gear bag, those gear folks are hanging out here with all these gear bags in nice numbered, ordered, all organized. They're going to find that bag and they're going to try to run to you to give you your bag. There's also a whole series of chairs, so you can actually sit down, go through very quickly, go through your gear bag, change your shoes, change your socks, take off a shirt, put on another one, whatever you have in your gear bag, and then boom, you are off on the run. If we can just go to the next slide.
I was just going to say too, sure. we put we've got a turf kind of carpet out there too.
Yeah, exactly. So as I mentioned, there's the bike handlers that are going to take your bike, put it into the FedEx trucks and head it back to T1. The gear drop, if you've loaded a bag in T1, those folks, which also I'm just going to reiterate, must be in the Matson bag, and that will be detailed, but you must use the Matson bag and you must put your number on it. Nobody can find it, including yourself, in a sea of bags if you don't have your number on it. So they'll hopefully locate your bag and give it to you. There's a water station. There's a porta potty there. There's lots of music. There's lots of fun. So you can grab a glass of water as you head down the trail. And at that point, you are on your last event and you're headed on the run course. Take it away, Kristen.
All right. The run course. I think this is one of the most unique and fun run courses around. One, our partners at JBear, who graciously allow us and permit us to use this stretch of military land that also is off limits to the public all other times of the year. So we can't stress that one enough too. Part of our permit is that we discourage people and remind people that that's private road and not open to the public except for the racers on race day. So this is the last event of the Tri. It's approximately 3.5 miles of fun, about sorry, here, I'll get the picture up here. When you leave T2, you will you go down a little bit of a hill. You're now on a dirt kind of road, unpaved road here called Oil Well Road, or affectionately known as the Tank Trail. You'll head down here, you come across, and you'll be on this for approximately 2.25 miles. There's a water station a little bit after mile 1 that's manned by the Alaska Winter Stars. Skinny Raven supports the Alaska Winter Stars coming out and manning water stations at lots of different events, including the Gold Nugget Triathlon. There's also lots of support or some support on the run course along there. In addition to that water station, we have roaming medical on an ATV, as well as roaming folks on bikes, our communication team, and other folks on bikes along the Tank Trail. We often have wildlife, as some of you may know, on the Tank Trail. So we just really encourage people to be alert to wildlife and understand that you are out in the wilds of Anchorage, and to treat that like you would any other time that you're out recreating in the greater Anchorage area. You will, when you get past that water station and further down, there is a sharp right turn. The trail kind of forks. There will be signage for you to make that turn, but be aware of that. We often try to have a volunteer there as well. You'll come off. There's a fenced in area where you will exit the Oil Well Road and then onto the paved Starview Drive. We will have live music there. We have a variety of musicians who come in and play live music throughout the day. If they're taking a break, we'll have other music available. So it's kind of a fun way. When you start seeing those musicians or hearing that music, you know you're getting into the final stretch. This is, I have to apologize, we need to update this map. There is not a water station there. So there's one water station on the run course that'll be a little bit past mile 1. You'll get onto the frontage road. This is by the Chugach, or formerly MLMP power plant. You will run on this road on the left-hand side. So like you're running against traffic the proper way. You'll go past that power plant. You'll come up upon the Centennial Campground that is closed this time of the year or on race day. At that point, we will have pennant flagging that will want you to go to the left. So stay to the left of the road, go in that kind of wide chute of the pennant flagging, and then you'll follow that into Penna Park, where you'll take a left-hand, kind of a soft left-hand turn into the finish chute and to the finish line at Penna Park. I think that was all that we wanted to cover regarding the run course.
So we moved to Penna Park about 3 years ago now, I want to say. Isn't this our 3rd year?
Yeah, 2018 was the first year we were at Penna. Yep.
Still confused with COVID. It's kind of messed up my in sync. But because we weren't, there was no way for us to cross the overpass, the nice big huge overpass they put in, that little, whatever that little 4-leaf clover thing
That would
was.
be a diverging diamond interchange, just in
Yeah, there
case
you
you're
go.
wondering.
Yeah, but that diverging interchange really messed things up. So we started using Penna Park and shuttling people between Bartlett and Penna Park. And it's actually worked extremely well. Penna Park is a very very fun, cozy, neat and tidy park that allows us to really have a very warm and welcoming finish line, as well as a very nice party atmosphere for not just our racers, but our family and friends who come out to spectate. So Kristen mentioned that you're going to come down that road and you're going to take just a really soft left-hand turn. It's up here in the far right-hand corner of this map. You're going to make that soft left-hand turn, and then you're going to hear all the cheering, and which you've actually probably heard them prior, but the cheering and screaming, and probably your family members all cheering for you until you come underneath the arch right at the finish line and hear your name being called, that you are a triathlete. At that point, it is all fun. There's lots of things to do. You can go to the gear tent and get your gear bag and put on dry, warm clothes, or just put on warm clothes over what you have. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be a hydration station. That's where you pick up your finisher t-shirt. So that's always coveted. And of course, this year's logo is really, really cool. So everybody's really excited to be receiving that. There will be a kiosk for your results. So if you want to check out to see what your results were, you can do it at the kiosk hosted by Skinny Raven. Again, there's the gear bags. There'll be some games to try to help keep those kiddos that have come to watch you entertained until you get there, as well as lots of music. And
And a photo booth too. I forgot to put that on here. Yeah,
great.
ConocoPhillips is sponsoring a great photo booth, so you can get hard copy and digital prints to take home with you.
And they have a backdrop, and I actually get stuck sometimes just standing there watching people have their pictures taken because they're so cute and they have so much fun, with this post-race I'm a triathlete picture taking. So definitely take advantage of that. Again, there'll be food trucks. And then over here in the far left in the pink area, that's where the shuttle is going to enter and exit. So you want to be mindful of that the big, huge buses are going to come in. Kristen can talk a little bit more about that. And just so you know, spectators are absolutely welcome at the finish area and can come and stay as long as they would like. But I might have
we'll talk about this
under on that. Kristen, you can talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about spectators. There's no parking at T2 or no access on Starby Drive. I do want to share one other thing too. Both at bike drop off on Saturday and then here at Penna Park on Sunday, Kaladi Brothers Coffee will be doing free coffee for racers and spectators, both at drop off and at the finish line. So that's another. We greatly appreciate that.
One thing though that we really want to mention, that when you bring your bike on Saturday, if you are on your bike and it is rolling in any fashion whatsoever, you must have your helmet on. If your husband or friend is on your bike and they are riding it in for you and they do not have a helmet on, you could get penalized for that. There's a bike number on your bike. Whoever's number is on that bike, that's who possibly could get penalized. So please, please, please make sure that if that bike is rolling forward and you have crossed the crossbars on your bike, you must have a helmet on.
Thank you, Missy.
Somebody just asked about, and you might be talking about this, but spectators are allowed to use the shuttle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we will have motor coaches that we're chartering through Premier Alaska Tours, who will be providing all-day transportation between Bartlett and Penna Park, starting at about 9 a.m. Once the race is underway, then we'll have shuttles heading over to Bartlett. Those are open to racers and spectators. Some folks, and those will go through to when the last racer comes through at Penna Park and we wrap up. There's also, it's easy access if people want to walk or ride their bike over to Penna Park. Our parking for the event on race day is at Takotnu Commons, kind of near where the old Sam's Club is. So the course side, the Penna Park side of Takotnu Commons. So some people like to park there, and if they're not going to go over to Bartlett, they just get on the bike path and walk over to Penna from there. Especially if they have strollers, sometimes they like to walk and prefer to do that. What we do ask is that everybody follow the established walkways, don't cut across the road, follow the rules of the road. That interchange, there's a lot of moving traffic, and we want people to stay safe. So a couple of the big reminders: there is no parking and no access at Penna Park. We have traffic control who will prevent anybody other than race officials from coming through onto Starview Drive. We also respectfully ask that people don't park all over the streets and block the neighborhoods in that area. Park it to Cottonu and either take the shuttles over or walk over. Yeah, that's really it. We just really want people to be respectful of the neighborhoods and use the established methods for moving about that we have. The website is goldnuggettriathlon.com, and there's a search button up in the, someone's asked that question, and there's a search button up in the upper right corner. And if you type in, transition, you'll get a bunch of things that'll come up. If you, there's a menu area for just transitions too, but if you do some search, you can pretty much almost find anything that you're looking for. And if you can't, feel free to reach out to us at info@goldnuggettriathlon.com, or even ask your question in the Spirit of the GNT Facebook group. One of our board members is really good about moderating and chiming in, as our fellow racers. They're a great resource in that Facebook group. So
Kristen, there were a couple questions. Are we through with the main part of the presentation?
I think so. Spectators, we've kind of talked all about I think we've covered spectators enough here, but if you have any more questions, we can answer those here at the end.
One of the questions was about Gunnery Road, and because you received that permit, you probably know a bit more about this, but they were just talking about, will the road be open for training purposes or not?
Yeah, no, we did talk about that a little bit. So no, that road the gate might be open, but it says very specifically there that it's not open to the public. And we respectfully ask that the racers follow those signs, and that the military that's private military space. So you can ride the rest of it. You can ride the bike path. You can come over the overpass and just continue to stay to the right and along the road to the right, and then over to Arctic Valley and up. You just can't do that jog up Gunnery Road. Let me go back to that here. Sorry, here, going through here. So you can pre-ride all of this stretch of the course, all this this stretch. You just cannot pre-ride this part here. Okay. I have a note here. I didn't think to reach out beforehand if the Tri Club's going to do any course previews. But if they are, we'll be sure to put that in an e-newsletter and up on the Spirit of GNT Facebook group. Sometimes they do those.
Yeah.
And my understanding is the bike path's in good shape. So,
awesome.
Which I'm assuming means it's been swept.
The only other question is, and we can talk about this briefly. We had a session on it last week, I believe, and it is posted on the website. But somebody asked if they're able to request an earlier start time for the swim. It's a little bit more difficult this year to request a specific time because bib assignments are being done by your estimated swim times. It's not to say that everybody from fast to slow through the entire 1,300 plus people are going to go in that manner. So we're not necessarily going to take everybody's estimated swim time and start with the fast and move all the way to the slowest person. We will have waves of pockets in between. And so there'll be fast to slow wave, and then maybe a slow to fast wave, and then a fast to slow wave, et cetera, as it goes throughout the day. So we will be mixing people up, but it's a little bit more cumbersome to try to actually specifically assign you to a specific time. You can send a request to info@goldnuggettriathlon.com, and you can indicate a time frame that you would like to go, and we will do the best that we possibly can. If you're requesting to go with somebody, most likely the only way that can happen is if both people have the same estimated swim time.
I want to just share something along those same lines if I can. So Missy mentioned at the beginning, I think Missy, we're expecting about 1,250 people in the in-person event, and is it about another 150 or 200 for the virtual event, somewhere in there. This is a weird year with the Gold Nugget not selling out. I think we're feeling effects of people getting back into life and racing and training after COVID. We are thrilled, to be back here putting on the event, and we're really pleased with the registrations that we have. But so we have less racers this year, so the day's already going to be shorter as a result of that. Hence, the start times are going. No, we're not going to have those later start times. Additionally, with the format of the snake swim, one of the things that is so great about it is the predictability of your start time. So when you get that, your bib assignment in that wave, we have racers going in the pool every 20 seconds. So people the movement through the pool is a little bit faster, will be a little bit faster than the other format, in addition to the fact that it's a 400-yard versus a 500-yard swim. We can't say this exactly yet, but all start times for racers will probably be before 1 o'clock and probably before 12:30 in the afternoon. It'll be somewhere in there, so somewhere between 12:30 and 1:30. Don't hold us to any of that, but you're not going to see that last group of start times in that 3 o'clock hour, which I think it has been in the past. And you also won't, knock on wood, experience long wait times on the pool deck. As Missy said, it's a complicated process, and that's Missy's gig. I'm so glad it's not my gig. Thank you, Missy. She does all of that crazy piece. But so just so you understand that everybody's actually going to get to go much earlier than they would in a typical year. Someone asked the question about, back to the bike course, if Gunnery Road is paved or gravel. It's the entire bike course is paved. So the entire bike course is paved, including Gunnery Road.
Only the run course has gravel. Or dirt. Really.
So Missy, there's a question about updating your swim time.
So we've actually been making those announcements for about the last month also on the website. The last time we were able to update swim time was April 15th. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It was actually tonight at 8 o'clock was the last time you could update one. Again, if you send that to info@goldnuggettriathlon tonight, I can update it, but I cannot update it most likely anytime after tonight. And that's only because you guys are really special because you called in.
Someone asked a question about watching the past info session. I just put that in the Q&A. I'll actually type it in the chat as well. Right on the homepage of the GNT site, we have these 4 announcement boxes, and one of them is for the racer information sessions, and the recordings are posted there. So once again, Mary Cox, thank you again for your support of these racer information sessions. We will see you and hopefully everybody else who attended tonight on May 3rd for the last session. We'll have you need to sign up for that online at goldnuggettriathlon.com, and it will also be a link in the next e-news. We will continue the e-newsletters between now and race day. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody. It's getting exciting around here. We can smell race day.
So there is one more question about bags, not having bags on the swim deck, and you are absolutely correct. It's really difficult to have bags on the swim deck when you're doing a snake swim, because you get in on one end of the pool and you exit on the other end. So there is no, and even if you were doing a lane bid, it wouldn't be fair to everybody. So there is no gear on the pool deck. However, if there is an item that you really need to have close by, you can place it in the locker room. But the only way you can go in the locker room to set that up is by coming in the entrance on the outside of the pool. I hope that makes sense. But you'll come in the front door of the pool, And before you actually come into the secondary door that brings you onto the deck of the pool, you can go into the locker room from that end. We ask you, please do not go into the locker room once you're on the pool deck, because that way there's timing mats there and you'll have a chip on your ankle and your timing mat will start, or your timing will start at that point. So if you want to go in and out of the locker room at any time, you need to do it from the outside of the pool deck area. Somebody also asked about, can you answer the question about your helmet and bike gear getting back to T1? And that's a really good question. I should have mentioned that. Thank you. So what happens is when you get off your bike and they take your bike, you take off your helmet. And they're going to actually strap that helmet basically onto your bike. It goes onto the FedEx van and it's going to meet you back in your area, in your numbered area in T1. If there's any, and your bag gear is going to as well. You can only drop things in the locker room on Saturday. The pool is actually closed. I mean, on Sunday, the pool is actually closed on Saturday. There is actually one other area though. Bartlett High School further towards the south, is that what you would say?
Yeah.
There's in the gymnasium, they're in the middle door, that will be unlocked and you can go down the hallway and you can go into that locker room. You can also leave your gear in that locker room only on Sunday, not on Saturday. And you can actually go in there before you leave on the bike if you wanted to, although it's a little bit cumbersome to do that. But when you come back, you can go in there and take a shower and change your clothes as well if you wanted to bring your gear and leave it there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, someone who, if you're not going to carry your phone with you at all, you can lock stuff up in there beforehand, before you even go into the pool deck. And that's just this spot right here on the map.
Great questions.
Let's see here. There's a couple more in the Q&A here. Brittany, can you email your question to info@goldnuggettriathlon.com and we'll answer that one for you. Those are those ones that those bone conduction headphones. We'll do some clarification on that and put that in an e-newsletter. So look for some information on that in the next e-news. Okay, sorry, I read you don't need to email that question to Gold Nugget, but we'll get a little bit of clarification on the headphones. Regarding swimming at Bartlett Pool before May 15th, if you go to muni.org into the Parks and Rec page, there's a section on pools, and you can see what all of the swim times are at the pools. I don't know, you don't by chance have it open, Missy, do you?
No.
Yeah, so muni.org. The Parks and Rec section there, and you can find information about all the public municipality pools, including Bartlett. The Gold Nugget's not doing any organized swims in advance of the event. And then another question there regarding the swim, it is a 25-yard pool, not 25 meters, 25 yards. So it'll be a 400-yard swim. All right, let's see here. There was one more question here. Access to T1 in the morning. It's open from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. only on race morning. So you can, if you're at Bartlett prior to 8:30, you can access your T1 transition one T1 spot. All right. I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. And again, we'll have a last session on May 3rd when we will be sure to leave ample time for Q&A so we can get all those last minute questions leading up into race day. We hope everybody has great training and be safe out there, and we'll look forward to seeing you here again in a couple weeks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.